There's a way to make an entrance.
This is my destiny.
It was now a conspiracy of witches.
Download Veely today.
Is there a perfect time to have a baby? What are the pros and cons of starting young?
It was the best thing that ever happened to me. I had no idea what I was doing with my life before I had Isaac, but because I had him, I discovered I wanted to go on to do midwifery.
When I found out I was pregnant, I felt like that's it. Like everything that I planned was out of the window, it's gone out the window.
Today on Mothership, we're going to talk to two fantastic young mums. Let's have a chat. We'll start with you now. Tell us about your experience about being a young mum. When did it all begin?
So I was 18 when I found out I was pregnant, and I had my son at 19, so in January. It was not planned. I don't even have the words to describe it. It was just very life-changing.
I bet.
And everything just happened really quickly.
Yeah, and did you have support from your family?
Yeah, I did. They were all very, because I come from quite a religious, like Christian kind of family, so I think it took a while for them to, it's like they were grieving with me kind of thing. And, my mum was in the same situation as me, and she was kind of like, the struggles that I went through being a young mum, so, how did this kind of happen? But yeah, in the end, they were very kind of like supportive and have been since then, and they love my son more than they love me. So
that's what happens. That's what happens. The baby gets first priority, doesn't it?
Exactly.
And how was your experience, Ellie?
So I was the same. I was 18 when I got pregnant with my eldest, who's nearly 3, and 19 when I had him. I'm not gonna say it was unplanned because I knew it could happen.
I know it's
a bit silly.
It's like sex equals babies. I mean, it's a crazy concept. I mean, guys.
But I had nothing going on in my life at the time, and I knew that if I did get pregnant, then my partner, I'm still with him now, he'd be an amazing dad. So and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I had no idea what I was doing with my life before I had Isaac, but because I had him, I discovered I wanted to go on to do midwifery.
Fantastic.
And if I never had him, then it is not something I would have even ever considered.
You notice people sort of looking at your finger, looking at your hand to see if you're married.
Young mums on benefits.
A lot of the older parents might not necessarily want to hang out with you because they might think you just don't fit in with them, or you're trouble.
People were shocked when I went to university. They were shocked when I went travelling with my son to Southeast Asia for a year. They were just, everything was like, oh wow, pat on the back.
Everyone expects you to be quite silly in the way you act. They don't expect you to be a very good mother, which is actually really unfair.
What was it like, sort of, I guess, coming out to your friends about being pregnant?
Yeah, it was hard because where I come from, teenage pregnancy was obviously always seen as a bad thing. So I knew there were people like talking behind my back. I lost a lot of friends as well. I had like one friend who's like my best friend now, and it's actually my son's godmum who like stuck by me. So it was very isolating.
You were saying people were talking about you. How do you sort of manage that, or what techniques did you use to sort of manage that?
When I was pregnant with Isaac, I went through my Facebook friends and I deleted anyone.
Did that too.
Yeah, so anyone that I thought might
I want to do
gossip,
that.
it was a really good feeling actually.
Yeah,
anyone that I thought might gossip about it or that I didn't really talk to, and I just cut anything out of my life that I thought might judge me or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
that's really empowering though, isn't it? You sort of feel like you want everybody on your side. Yeah,
I never announced Isaac's pregnancy on Facebook like most people do.
You didn't do it like with like blue balloons, because that's a thing.
The gender reveal.
Cut the cake.
I kept it quite private, but it was nice. But then it was nice with Oliver's pregnancy to be a bit more public as well.
After the babies were born, when you went to sort of like baby groups or socialise with other mums, how did that make you feel? How did you feel like they accepted you? Or
at first I was a bit intimidated because it felt like everyone had their own houses, amazing careers, were married. But the more I talked to people, I just realised everyone was in the same boat. Everyone was really lovely. No one ever said anything bad about me being a young mum.
That's great. That's really good. Did you have a similar experience now?
To be honest, I didn't go to like tons of groups because I just automatically just felt like I'm not really gonna fit in. Yeah, it took a while before I kind of like met people, and like Ellie was saying, that after a while you do kind of get to know people, and I've got mums who are like twice my age and I get on really well with them. So
what, like old people like me? We're okay. Some of us are quite nice.
I think it's a maturity thing as well. I think you get older and you just think, you know what, people are people at the end of the day, and
we're all tired. We're
Exactly.
all really tired.
Yeah, I think when it's that communal feeling of tiredness brings people together.
Exactly.
I think there will, to a degree, unless society completely changes.
People seem to perceive you in an odd way when you're a young mum. I got a lot of, your life's over now because you've had a child, and that's what most people tend to think.
Hopefully not, but I think there will always be judgmental people who will judge people for anything, especially when it comes to motherhood.
I don't know, I think a lot of things have changed. There's lots more sort of support for younger mums. It's not like, I don't know, years ago when you were shunned and sent to a coven because you had a baby.
What are the things that I guess you found extra difficult, or other difficult challenges of being a young mum?
Missing out was my biggest thing, because, before I was in college, I was studying the course I absolutely loved, and I was like, I'm going to go to university, I'm going to travel, I'm going to do all this stuff, I'm going to go to New York to study. That was my plan. So I definitely feel like when I found out I was pregnant, I felt like that's it, like everything that I planned was out of the window, it's gone out the window, and it's quite hurtful actually, because you just kind of feel like, oh my God, is my life actually over? But obviously that's not the case.
Just on hold for a little bit.
Exactly.
Did you feel similar, Ellie?
Oh yeah, definitely. I had Isaac the summer before all my friends went off to uni, so when they did go off to uni I felt very isolated.
Bit of FOMO.
Yeah, they were putting pictures of Freshers Week, I was just sat at home feeding my baby, and I hadn't made any mum friends yet. I had to force myself to go to groups just to make friends and get out of the house.
So what advice would you both give to someone going through a difficult time?
I'd say your baby is so much bigger than any gossip or that kind of thing, and once the baby's here you won't care as much, and you've just got to try and cut out people who are going to be like that. And I know it's hard because sometimes those people are close to you. I think as well, once people see you with your baby and see you doing a good job, then they're not going to judge you. I received a lot less judgment than I thought I would.
For me, certainly in the beginning, I felt like, I've got to prove everyone wrong. I've got to show them I'm doing this, and obviously, you just don't care.
No,
you don't care.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what, I'm doing a good job with my child. That should be your main focus and concern.
Exactly.
So,
and also, everyone has bad days, and I think young parents struggle to speak out about it because they don't want to be put into that category of a struggling young parent. But everyone has bad days, and that's okay if you do.
Yeah, there's a lot of assumptions that
A lot
of baggage that
the
comes
awkward
with that tag
questions.
young mum that you have to sort of fight, which other mothers wouldn't have to.
And the pity as well, and that's what I don't like with a lot of the things that are out there, and it's for young mums. I think a lot of young mums want to avoid it because it's almost like we're charity baskets, and there's this pity, like, oh, you've got no money, you haven't got an education, do you want some help? Maybe we can get you a qualification in health and social care, and that's not going to help me, it's not going to help my confidence.
It can be quite patronising sometimes.
Exactly.
When my partner told his boss that I was pregnant when I had my eldest, she was like, oh Liam, oh no. And it's just like, it doesn't have to be a bad thing.
No, and it's not. And if he was 10 years older, it would have been, oh, congratulations!
Exactly.
And it's still a complete joy and a wonderful thing. But you have to overcome all those other judgments before people can take you seriously.
The older you get, you don't think so much about age. I still consider myself to be a young mum, but I'm not I don't know, I just think I'm a mum.
Yeah, that's right. He doesn't make it. Yeah,
No.
because it's interesting. Like the UK average is 28. So if you had your baby at 18, then there's lots of mums who are having their first baby at like 42 and 44, and so that's another struggle in itself. And I think when I've spoken to older mums, they've sort of said, I sort of regret having it a bit older because it means I'll have less time with this precious sort of child. But I guess there's always, as you said, there's never a perfect time, and you're always discovering new things along the way. What are your favourite things about being a young mum?
So I felt like I never had to leave a career behind to have children. I discovered what I wanted to do after I had children. I didn't have to choose to go back to work. After I had Isaac, I had 2 years with him. I didn't feel like I was sacrificing anything for that. Also, having young grandparents to help out is great. They have
What's that
all
like?
the energy. My son at the minute, he's having a skiing lesson with his nanny.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it's great to have them close by and to have that help. They've been absolutely brilliant.
Get to grow with your child.
Gives you a new kind of drive and focus when you have a lot of responsibility as a young person with a child.
I think the advantages are you can kind of grow up with your kids and you're not too old to do stuff with them.
My son's 16 now, and I'm in my late 30s, and we have a really, really strong bond. I feel like I've got a good relationship with him because we've grown up together, and I'm still young enough to remember being at school and all the issues he's facing.
I've learnt a lot from my son, so yeah, it's a teaching and learning relationship.
So we're going to ask the internet for a bit of advice about the advantages of being a young mum. And they say, number one, you have much more energy before you reach 30. Is this true?
I don't know what it's like to be past 30. I don't know.
It's awful. It's dreadful. I feel like I'm more tired, but you guys look like you could run for days. So I think that maybe that's true. Maybe that's true. And similar to what you said, Ellie, the internet says you never really knew what it was like to have freedom beforehand, so you don't feel like you're missing out.
Well, I guess we did. I think it's more in terms of nights out and that kind of thing. But to be honest, once you have 1 or 2 nights out after becoming a mum, it's a bit overrated.
It's pretty
hangovers. You'd rather be
at home.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I always get to that point in the night where I start looking at pictures of my babies and going, no, I want to go home. We want to go back to you, Oliver. So one of the things the internet tells us all about the advantages of being a young mum is that you will get to see your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. You'll have a longer time. Do you feel that now?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that in the future.
Yeah.
I'm quite looking forward to being 40 and then they'll be grown up and
Yeah, that'll be nice.
They'll be serving wine at your 40th.
Yeah.
They'll be drinking with you. So we agree with the internet then. Yes, this is a good thing. You're going to be around for a long time.
Yeah, definitely.
You'll be changing lots of nappies when you're old. Lots of grandchildren everywhere. You can just about get away with sharing the same clothes as your child because you're of the same generation. Do you think that's going to happen? I mean,
my
will you
children are boys.
Yes.
Yeah.
You'll be able to share those Thomas the Tank Engine t-shirts.
They want to wear dresses. So that would be fine.
Yeah.
I can't see that happening. I
don't see that as an advantage. I don't want them taking my stuff.
No,
Thank you very much.
exactly.
No, be quiet, internet. And I guess, like, sort of rounding up, what are your sort of top tips if somebody's pregnant as a teenager or out there feeling like they're struggling? What sort of advice would you give them?
I would say to them that it's not over, and try to remove yourself from any kind of stigmas or, ideas that society has. Like, just remove yourself from that. That doesn't define you. It's not the end of the world. It really isn't. So,
I would say seek support wherever you can find it. And it might seem like there isn't much before you tell people, but there will be support somewhere. Just build your village up.
Well, thank you both. You clearly are brilliant people and experts in the field of being a young mum. Thank you for sharing so much. If you've got any comments, please put them below. Thank you for watching Mothership. See you soon.